Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Mavidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the Divine Being look over us lovingly as a mother and father. May the Divine Being support and nourish us as a mother and father. May we have the strength and skill to study together the art of spirituality. May no misunderstandings arise amongst us. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto us and to all beloved beings everywhere. So, of course, we're studying Swami Chaitanananda's book on Holy Mother, Sri Sarada Devi, her divine play. And we're in the chapter on Mother as Guru. Before we begin, is there anything left from last week that you would like to add or ask about what it is that we're studying and reading? Anything at all from anyone about Mother as Guru? All right then. While giving initiation, Holy Mother selected the disciples' Ishta, or chosen ideal. While giving initiation, Holy Mother selected the disciples' Ishta, or chosen ideal, and a mantra connected to that deity. Sometimes she asked about the disciples' family tradition, but regardless of whether the disciple was Vaishnava or Shakta, she initiated him or her according to what she considered best for the disciple. When the disciple could not decide on an Ishta, Holy Mother herself chose the particular form and name of the Godhead. So that's the definition of Ishta, the particular form and name of the Godhead that is at the center of your spiritual practice, and ultimately you'll find at the center of your heart and your spiritual experience. As Swami Prabhavananda said, the chosen ideal is you, yourself, no different. Learn to feel that living presence. And that's what we do as we do our spiritual practice. So Holy Mother herself would choose the particular form and name of the Godhead if the disciple was unable to come to any conclusion for themselves. Sometimes, just before initiation, she would meditate to discover the mantra suitable for the aspirant. It would be revealed to her pure mind. The mantra has an intrinsic power. Holy Mother said, the mantra purifies the body. One becomes pure by repeating the name of God, given by the Guru. Once a disciple asked Holy Mother if the mere repetition of the mantra as taught by an adept guru really helped the aspirant if she or she did not possess an intense devotion. Holy Mother answered, whether you jump into the water or are pushed into it, your cloth will be soaked, will it not? Now, I think this should be, let those who have ears to hear. The disciple asked, Once a disciple asked Holy Mother if the mere repetition of the mantra as taught by an adept guru really helped the aspirant if he or she did not possess intense devotion. Holy Mother answered, whether you jump into the water or are pushed into it, your cloth will be soaked, will it not? Are there any questions about that? Because that's such a flat-out statement. Anything that you'd like to ask or add?
Yes, Brother Shankara, what I want to ask you is, there are some places where the gurus don't give any mantra. You can take your own mantra. But in
Yes.
Ramakrishna mission, usually the mantra is given by the guru.
Yes.
So what is the difference between these two? Because yesterday we were talking about Chinmaya Niketan, Chinmaya mission, and they don't have such practice that their acharyas don't give any japa.
Mm-hmm. Well, the lineage headed by Sri Ramakrishna embodies his spiritual power. The spiritual power that he gathered through his sadhana, his spiritual practices, was passed along to his disciples. The technical term for this is apostolic succession. He even pronounced the bijas a little bit differently, the seed words a little bit differently. For example, in not aing, but oim or oing. Not aing, which is traditional, but oing. Why? Because he was infusing them with his own additional spiritual power to the power of the bija itself. This is passed down through apostolic succession. The teacher, the guru, can add to that spiritual power by their own spiritual practices, but they cannot detract from it. So these mantras that are given by the Ramakrishna Swamis and through the Pravrajakas of the Sarada Mat they come complete with Sri Ramakrishna's spiritual power. That's why they will have the effect that Holy Mother said. Now, other traditions, other lineages have their own practices. I really don't know anything about them, about why they do or do not do. You'd have to ask them why.
Okay. Thank you.
But thanks for the question, because it's very pertinent to what Holy Mother said. The spiritual power is in the mantra and will have its effect. Anything else from anyone?
Brother Shankara?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I really appreciate that Sham asked that question, and your answer clarified for me some little confusion that I had been having since my initiation. So I feel like it might be a stretch, but I really feel like this has been a wonderful few minutes for me.
Good. No, it's not a stretch. If it's a wonderful few minutes for you, it's a wonderful few minutes for you. It doesn't have to be justified by anybody else's experience. So I'm glad you said that you were glad Sham asked the question and an answer was given that was clarifying. That's what we're up to. Whether you jump into water or are pushed into it, your cloth will be soaked, will it not? What a profound statement in the most simple words.
I love her answer, Brother Shankara. That's a wonderful statement.
Yes, it is.
Really nice.
It's just as simple and straightforward as it can be. Do the work, you get the result. Whether you do it with devotion, as Swami Prabhupada said over and over. You don't start with devotion. You start with the aspiration for devotion. You start with the desire for love, and which we all have. We all have that desire. Slowly and slowly, it unfolds. Anything else from anyone?
Yes, Brother Shankara, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Aaron.
Okay, perfect. Yes, I just want to say this comment really reminds me a lot about, I think it was Holy Mother who said, the door will either be opened for you or you'll be slidden through the keyhole.
Well, it was actually Gita Prana speaking on behalf of the mother. She was giving a talk on Kali and Kali worship. And she said, by the mother's grace, you will get to the other side of the door. She may hold it open and open it and prop it open with her foot so that you can go through, or you may be pulled through the keyhole. Swami Brahmananda said, some go by the smooth path, some by the thorny path, but all will go. So yeah, that's it, Aaron. By mother's grace, though. By mother's grace. We do our part. But it isn't that we earn her grace. We simply become capable of accepting her grace.
Brother Shankara,
Yes, dear.
talking about grace, I again harping on that point, I feel that I've been graced today because I was almost going to be a little late to join class. And if that had happened, I would have missed Shamji's question and your answer. So I think she graced me by somehow pushing me to start on time.
Good, good. Yes, well, we have to remember what Krishna says to us in chapters 2 and 3. Our fundamental delusion is that we are the doer. So this feeling of being pushed or gently nudged into something that is auspicious for us. May the divine being look over us lovingly as a mother and father. May the divine being support and nourish us as a mother and father. Anything else? Thank you, Swam. Okay, Holy Mother was not an ordinary guru who initiates with elaborate rituals and follows traditional methods. And this was so charming. If you read the details, you can read many details of this in Swami Gambhirananda's book, who's so detailed about the mother. Holy Mother was not an ordinary guru who initiates with elaborate rituals and follows traditional methods. Her initiation was simple and short. She selected the chosen deity and gave the mantra accordingly, and showed the disciple how to count repetitions of the mantra on the fingers or a rosary. People ask, what's the difference? Why some people on the fingers and some a rosary? Over the years, I observed the people who were initiated by Swami Swahananda. And I noticed that those people who didn't wear jewelry, who didn't have much in the way of adornments, those were the ones that seemed to count on their fingers. They were taught to count on their fingers. Those who were able to have things and hold on to things, keep things, and liked having things and adornments, those seemed to be the ones to whom a mala or rosary was given. That's the only, and I never asked the Swami about this. I didn't ask for any clarification. I just observed. And for example, the reason it first came up for me is I was taught by the Swami to count on my fingers. I thought, why? And I noticed that I was one of those people who didn't wear any jewelry, didn't have adornments, didn't even wear a watch, had a pocket watch. So anyway, if that question arose in your mind, that's the only answer that I have. Does anybody else have any knowledge or way of knowing what a difference might be, why there might be some people taught to count the mantra on the fingers and some given a mala or a rosary? Okay. Like I said, if that arose in your mind, that's the best answer I had. Swami Aseshananda, who, by the way, headed the Portland Center for many years, was a fiery personality and a wonderful Swami. Swami Aseshananda was initiated by Holy Mother. After she passed away, he became Swami Saradananda's private secretary. When he observed Saradananda's elaborate method of giving initiation, he said to the Swami, "Maharaj, Holy Mother instructed me in a very simple way. She did not ask me to repeat the mantra for a fixed number of times in the morning or in the evening, or for special days and all that. She did not give me any fixed method. Maharaj, I want a step-by-step procedure. Could you please add something?" Swami Saradananda responded, and listen up, everybody. Swami Saradananda responded, "You are the greatest fool. Holy Mother is the Divine Mother herself. All these methods and procedures are given by other teachers, but not by Holy Mother. Whatever Holy Mother has given you is the last word in spiritual life. You cling to the mantra, repeat it, meditate, and think of your chosen ideal. And when longing for the vision of God comes, you will find your mind, will know it, that your mind will be fixed on the Divine Spirit, and that all your desires will be fulfilled. Do you mean to say that I should add something to what Holy Mother has given? It is due to her grace that I am even here." And by the by, that's true of every one of us if we understand what Sri Krishna says in the Gita, what Sri Ramakrishna says in the Gospel, and by implication, some of the things that Mother said. We are all here by her grace. It is her love of being that brings this whole divine play into existence. the simple love of being, as Sri Ramakrishna said. It is her sport. It is her Leela. We are her children. We are her creation. It is due to her grace that I am even here. And that's true of all of us that are together here this evening. And for that matter, every living and inanimate being. Any comments or questions about that before we move on?
Yes, I have a quick question, Brother Shankara.
Yes, Anshu.
This might be from left field, but
What are you doing in left field?
so Saradananda, in that quote you read, he wrote, "All your desires will be fulfilled."
Yes.
And I was thinking about that and the relationship between that and grace and spiritual power. And you know my story, Brother Shankara. Like, I have been beaten by this world so badly.
Mm-hmm.
Is that grace going to, I've noticed this somewhat in my life, is when I follow the ideals of the Ramakrishna order, when I stick to my spiritual practice, I'm calmer, I'm kinder, I'm more generous, I'm more loving. And when I don't, shit hits the fan. So,
Which is why the world keeps beating you.
yeah, yeah,
So that you'll get it.
yeah,
All of these sufferings, Mother says, ultimately we come to see them as a grace, as part of her grace. We see them as part of, because they return our attention to the divine. So there's no reason to have any resentments or questions about what's happened to us. The past, untrue or true as I recall it, what does it matter now? All that became this moment, this crouching, pregnant moment. Right now, you're here among us, keeping holy company. This is holy company. Keeping holy company and focusing your attention. All of what has happened to you led to this moment.
right.
The good, the bad, the ugly, the pleasant, the unpleasant, all of it. It became this crouching, pregnant moment. And you can spring in any direction and give birth to whatever you choose, or at least so it seems. So what is the most auspicious thing? For us to focus our attention on the ideal and do our best to live to that ideal. Not and accepting it as an invitation, not as a commandment or dogma.
Will my desires be fulfilled though?
Yes. If you continue, what you find, dear, is that the reason your desires are fulfilled is that they are transformed.
Oh, good one.
Also, the inauspiciousness is quenched. It's just as Sri Chaitanya says at the beginning of his prayer. Chant the name of the Lord and his glory unceasingly. Unceasingly means every day. What will happen? chant the name of the Lord and his glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quenched that mighty forest fire, worldly lust, raging furiously within. So two things happen. The reflective material of the heart becomes perfect in its ability to reflect the divine, which is our true original nature. And our desires are quenched, and one of the ways that they are quenched is they are transformed. As fire is transformed to ashes, but also your misplaced desire for human love that will, and when I say misplaced, it isn't that there's anything bad and wrong about seeking that human love. It's just that it will not ultimately fulfill you.
Right.
So it transforms the impulse, the desire for love transforms from the desire for love from sources that are ultimately going to rise and pass away, no matter how sweet and wonderful they are, to something that is indissoluble, immutable, eternal. And you find that that is filled with love. And that is Holy Mother herself. Anything else from anyone?
Yes, Brother Shankara, do you think that our desire to be loved by others is really a projection of our most inner desire to be loved by God?
Of course it is. As Yajnavalkya says, this is this long dissertation that he gives in the Big Forest Upanishad, the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. It is not for the sake of the husband that the wife loves the husband. It is for the sake of the self. It is not for the sake of the self, that is not for the sake of the wife that the husband loves the wife. It is for the sake of the self. But we start off where we are. It seems like we love the human being, and we actually do love the human being, but we just misunderstand what the human being is. The human being is just the pillowcase for the self. And he goes on, the list goes on and on. So you're exactly right, Aaron. That's exactly right. Our desire for human love is simply a misunderstanding of our desire for that fulfillment, total fulfillment of the relationship of self to self. And ultimately the realization that there is only one self. But in the beginning, it seems not so. Any of you who want to read a really exultant exposition of all this, read Swami Prabhavananda's translation of the Svetasvatara Upanishad. The sage who spoke the Svetasvatara was just exuberant in his discovery that the self was in everything. The divine, his beloved, the divine, was everywhere present.
I just have a comment, Brother Shankara,
Yes,
Kaima.
dear.
And sometimes the desire may not be fulfilled just the way we want. It will get fulfilled in a different way, but that will be the best at the end. After a while, we start realizing, oh, this is why it happened. I didn't get exactly the way I wanted, but this way, the way it was fulfilled is actually the best for me. That happens after some time.
Yes, that is the transformation that goes on. Both you and the fulfillment are
Yes.
transformed.
Yes, that transformation is that.
Thank you very much for that, Haima. That's exactly right.
Yes,
Both you and the fulfillment of what you thought was your desire.
that's right. That's right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This was wonderful.
Anything else from anyone? This is perfect. Okay, we'll go on. You mean to say that I should add something to what Holy Mother has given? It is due to her grace that I am even here. One day Sarala, later Bharati Prana, asked Swami Sharananda Maharaj, why does it take so much time for you to give initiation? I saw the mother initiate disciples very quickly. After a long silence, the Swami replied, you see, the mother's very touch is enough for her disciple to achieve everything. But that is not possible for me. I have to pray and meditate for a long time. I have no relief until I see that the Master has accepted and taken responsibility for the disciple. So now you see, this goes to Sham's earlier question about the apostolic succession of the Ramakrishna Swamis. They have to be convinced that they have properly introduced the disciple to the Master and that he has taken responsibility for them. Subhead. I'll just say the part that's just the subhead for Holy Mother as the remover of sin and bad karma. Being a guru is not easy. It is beyond the capacity of an ordinary guru to take responsibility for another's bad karma, or to absorb a disciple's sin and its consequences. Only a divine being has the power of redemption. Only a divine being has the power of redemption. So when these gurus of the Ramakrishna order accept you as a disciple, they're accepting you in the Master's name. If you poke them, they will say, I am nothing more than a face of the Master. It is not them that is initiating you. It is the Master initiating you through them as an instrument. Only a divine being has the power of redemption. The Christian tradition speaks of vicarious atonement. Jesus took upon himself the punishment for the sins of others. We find that Ramakrishna took Jagadamba's, Mathur's wife, illness on himself and suffered from dysentery for several months. He also took on Girish's sins and suffered from cancer. Toward the end of Holy Mother's life, when she was bedridden in Udbodhan house, Brahmachari Ashok was detected.
Dejected, Brother Shankar.
She was what again?
Dejected?
Dejected. Oh, yes, was dejected. Thank you. Was dejected, thinking that he would be helpless without her. To encourage him, she said, "Do you think that even if this body passes away, I can have any release unless every one of those whose responsibility I have taken on myself is out of bondage? I must constantly live with them. I must constantly live with them. I have taken complete charge of everything, good and bad, regarding them. Is it a trifle to give initiation? It is a tremendous responsibility. How much anxiety I suffer for them. Just see, your father has died, and that at once made me feel worried about you. I thought, how is it that the master is again putting him to the test? That you may come out of this ordeal is my constant prayer. For that reason, I gave you this advice. Can you understand everything I say? If you could do so, that would lighten my worries to a great extent. The master is playing with his different children in diverse ways, but I have to bear the brunt of it. I cannot simply set aside those whom I have accepted as my own. The relationship between the guru and the disciple is eternal. So let's just pause there and ask if there are any questions about what she just said. Because that is,
Brother Shankara,
yes,
Swami Sahananda initiated me, but he is no longer there now. He died a couple of years after he initiated me, and you were there at that time in the Raleigh,
yes,
close to Raleigh, I remember, North
yes,
Carolina.
yes. Mm-hmm.
So how does I'm still doing the month japa, no doubt, but how does it work now?
Do you, Sham, it's like Swami Vivekananda said, he's not gone anywhere. Where could he go? There is only existence. He's just, as Sri Ramakrishna said, behind the curtain. But he, when he accepted you as his disciple and gave you that initiation, he was doing so on behalf of the master and mother. Because they're one being, not two. One being in two forms. Now, if you wish to see him, Sham, if you wish to have the sense, the empirical experience of his continued presence, pray for it. Not one day, not 2 days, particularly if you can go into solitude. Spend some time just by yourself and say, beloved teacher, beloved Guru, beloved Swahanandaji. Let me know of your presence. The experience of many others, Sham, is that they will come to you. But they never make themselves, they never push themselves forward into our lives. We have to ask. We have to ask. They may come to us when we're in a crisis. That happened to me with Swami Prabhavananda. I was in a very desperate crisis situation, suffering from misdiagnosed sleep apnea, and in a very serious situation. This was in 2002. And Swami Prabhavananda came to me and gave me some guidance. That was an instance in which I hadn't asked in so many words, but my heart was crying out for guidance. But if you wish to see Swahananda, just pray for that. And be a pest about it. I really want to see you, Swami. I really want the reassurance of your continued love and care. And see what happens.
Thank you.
Thank you for asking, Sham. That was right on point.
Even Sri Ramakrishna, it says he begged the Divine Mother to see her presence. And I mean, even Sri Ramakrishna had his moment of, does the Divine Mother exist? I mean, that's what I read today in the Gospel. Yeah,
exactly. Did the Divine Mother exist in the form of Kali? Or was this just a piece of basalt? Was this just a piece of stone? And he had to weep for a long time before she revealed herself to him. Great inconceivable penances are required for your realization, O Devi. Now, the Master, Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother, and their disciples, they are a dispensation. They are easier of access to us. That's what it says in the evening hymn, Breaker of this world's chain. Lord of the worlds, thou art ours, who wert born a child of our time, easy of access to us. And Vivekananda wrote that after the master had passed away, by the way. He wrote that when they were at the Baranagore monastery. Anything else from anyone?
Brother Shankara?
Yes, Swayam.
Is it also a different way to not desire anything, just do what you've been instructed to do and let things just happen when they have to?
Precisely. That is another way. That is the way of devotion. The other is the way of devotion with petitionary prayer. Vivekananda says they're both fine. If you are simply devoted to the teachings of your guru and just do and see what happens, sit in the witness seat and see what happens, remarkable things will happen. You may be assured of it. But there's no reason as children that we should not go, as Mother said. The child, seeing its friends playing with a kite and not having one, runs to its mother and says, "Oh, Mother, give me a penny for a kite." And Mother says, "Oh, I'm talking with my friends right now. You go away and play with your friends." "No, no," the child says. "No, no, I want a kite. Please give me a penny for my child." "Oh, just a few minutes, just a bit." "No, no, now, Mother, now." So she finally says, "Oh, all right, bring me the box." And so the child runs and gets the little box where the money is kept. The mother opens it, gives him a penny, and he goes and gets a kite. Sri Ramakrishna recommends this. He says there's absolutely no reason not to practice tamasic bhakti. So neither is wrong. Petitionary or devotional without petition. Good question, Shyam. Muswaya. Anything else? Any follow-ons from anybody? Okay. Holy Mother demonstrated how to lead a spiritual life by continually practicing japa. Even when she was sick in bed, she repeated her mantra mentally. She slept very little. Now, does this mean that we should sleep very little? No, it doesn't. It means that the Divine Mother, this divine being, slept very little. We shouldn't think, oh, that means I should sleep very little. She just was who she was. She slept very little. One night, Brahmachari Bharata asked, "Mother, don't you get any sleep?" She replied, "What can I do, my child? All these children come to me with great longing for initiation, but most of them do not repeat the mantra regularly. Why regularly? Many don't repeat it at all. But since I have taken responsibility for them, should I not see to their welfare? Therefore, I do japa for their sake. I constantly pray to the Master, saying, O Master, awaken their spiritual consciousness. Give them liberation. There is a great deal of suffering in this world. May they not be born here again." Now, I know for a fact that Swami Swahananda used to do the same thing. I know because at one point he was ill and needed people to stay in his room with him at night, so that if he needed to get up and needed help to get to the bathroom, or needed you to run to get something for him or something of the kind, that he wouldn't have to get out of bed unnecessarily, or if he did, he had someone to help him because he was unsteady on his feet. So I was staying in his room. And, he would be awake in the middle of the night, making japa, not for himself, but for his disciples. Toward the very end of his life, the young man who became Swami Chidekananda, whose name was Deepak Nayak, Veda Chaitanya, Deepak was staying in his room. The same thing was the case. The Swami got very little sleep because he was making japa. And so Deepak said, "Should I make japa too?" And the Swami said, yes, yes, please make japa. He said, if you fall asleep making japa, you get credit for doing that japa all the time you are asleep, if you fall asleep doing your japa. These are the very words he said to Deepak. So there's great power in the mantra. Great power in the mantra. But the mother, seeing that many of her disciples weren't following her instructions, but she had taken responsibility for them, was doing it for them, and assuring that the master, by praying to him on their behalf, assuring them of liberation. Any comments or questions? Anything to add or ask? Okay.
Quick question, Brother Shankara.
Yes, Anju.
I have not been initiated yet,
Mm-hmm.
and the mantra that I use is Jai Shri Ramakrishna, but I don't. Is a mantra meditation better, or is a following my breath meditation better? Because I usually don't do the mantra meditation.
The name of Sri Ramakrishna is better. It will be better if you add Om to that. Om Jai Sri Ramakrishna.
Okay,
Om
thank you.
Sri Ramakrishna. And be in contact with Swami Sarvadevananda. You can email him. You can send me an email and I'll give you his phone number. He prefers to be contacted by phone. And you can, if necessary, fly out to California and receive Diksha there. It's not likely that the Swami will come here anytime soon, but it is auspicious for you to receive Diksha, for you to receive initiation. So in the meantime, Om Jai Shri Ramakrishna will do just fine. The Master's name is full of power, and of course, all power derives from Om.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for the question. Anything else? Insight meditation, the following the breath, and that kind of meditation. It's objectless meditation, and it's a long, slow path to devotion from there. So it's better to have an object for your devotion at the center of your practice, even if you haven't been initiated. How are we doing for time? Okay. Anything else before I read on? Okay. In spiritual life, and please, everyone, listen to this because this is so potent. In spiritual life, when clouds of doubt and depression hover in the mind, we need someone to reassure us. Holy Mother told, somebody read that name.
Indubhushan Sengupta.
Okay. Holy Mother told Indubhushan Sengupta, why do you worry, my child? You have occupied a place in my heart. You will not have to do any spiritual discipline. I am doing it for you. Indu asked, Mother, do you do the same for all who have received initiation from you? Yes, I do, replied the mother. You have so many disciples. Do you remember them all? I don't, recollect them all, but I repeat the mantra for those whose names I can recall. And for those I cannot remember, I pray to the Master, saying, Master, I have many children in various places. Please look after those names I can't recall and take care of their well-being. Swami Vishweshwarananda was a disciple of the mother and lived in Udbodhan house. He lived downstairs with Swami Saradananda. One day he candidly said to her, Mother, you initiate so many people, but you never inquire about them. You don't even give a thought about what is happening to them. A guru keeps a keen eye on his disciples, seeing whether they are developing spiritually. It would be better if you did not give initiation to so many people. You should initiate only as many as you can keep in touch with. Now, doesn't that seem like a reasonable objection? Listen to Mother's reply. Holy Mother replied, but the Master never forbade me to do so. He instructed me about so many things. Would he not have told me something about what you have said? I give the responsibility for my disciples to the Master. Every day I pray to him, please look after the disciples, wherever they may be. Further, I received these mantras from the Master himself. These are Siddha mantras, very potent. These are the same mantras that are passed down through apostolic succession to us. These are Siddha mantras, very potent. One is sure to attain liberation through them. Once in Jairambati, Vishweshwarananda asked, Mother, how do you realize God? Worship, japa, meditation? Do these help? None of these helps, replied the mother. Then how does one get the vision of God? It is only through God's grace. But one must practice meditation and japa. They remove the impurities of the mind. In other words, we prepare ourselves just like we prepare ourselves for putting on clean clothes by taking a bath. We do our meditation and japa to put on, to remove the impurities. They remove the impurities of the mind. One must practice spiritual disciplines such as worship, japa, and meditation, as one gets the fragrance of a flower by handling it, or as one gets the smell of sandalwood by rubbing it against a stone. In the same way, one gets spiritual awakening by constantly thinking of God. But you can realize God right now if you become desireless. So we'll leave it at that. We'll stop there. You can realize God right now if you become desireless. Swayam said something about this earlier. If you don't practice wanting anything, even from your spiritual practice, you just do the practice and see what happens. What does Chaitanya say? That spiritual practice, japa, that he says, chant the name of the Lord and his glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean. There go the impurities. And quenched that mighty forest fire, worldly lust, raging furiously within. And the way that that quenching goes on is that the desires are transformed. They're transformed into holy incense ash, as Hafiz puts it. And the mind becomes quiet, becomes peaceful. It's a slow, slow journey. But we have to remember this lifetime that seems so long to us. It's just a wink in eternity. It's Sri Ramakrishna trying to give us a sense of how short human life is. He says a human life is of only 2 days' duration. But it's time enough to receive liberation because of the masters, how easy the master and mother are of access to us. They made themselves available. How great was thy sacrifice, freely choosing thy birth in this prison, our iron age, to unchain us and set us free. As Sri Ramakrishna says, make application. If you put your affairs in the hands of a noble person, you won't be betrayed. And as Swami Prabhupada used to say, everyone loves the magic, but no one wants to know the magician. Desire to know the magician. Let that be your primary desire, which is not a worldly desire at all in any sense. Oh, Master, I want to know you as the magician. Anything? Any last thoughts? Anything to add or ask from anyone?
Brother Shankara,
Yes, dear.
is there a difference between worship and japa?
Japa is a form of worship. As you know, there is the form of worship where you sit in front of the shrine and you light a candle and you say Jai Shri Ramakrishna, Jai Shri Ramakrishna, Jai Shri Ramakrishna, which is another form of japa. Very potent, Swami Prabhupada says. But just saying Jai Shri Ramakrishna, you wave the candle. And then you wave the incense. And then you put some sandal paste on a flower. And then you offer some water. And then you offer a fan. You fan the pictures and so on. This is a 5-item worship, very simple. That's a form of worship. Japa is an internal form of worship, where you turn away from the things of the senses, even these refined things, even these spiritual aspects of sensual awareness. You turn inside and you say the mantra where your guru told you to at the heart center. This is where Sri Ramakrishna said it's most auspicious for us to hold our attention while we're making japa. Is that clear?
Thank you, Brother Shankara. Yes, it is.
Singing kirtan is also a form of worship. spinning in a Sufi skirt until you become ecstatic is also a form of worship. Slicing potatoes, as Rabia says, slicing potatoes can be a form of worship. It's all about where you put your attention and what your intentions are for your attention. Anything else from anyone? All right,
I
dude.
just want to,
Yes.
I want to share real quickly. Like the past couple of weeks for me have been very like not really wanting to do spiritual practice, although I've been going through it anyways. Like I've been offering my day at the beginning of the day, and I've been offering my food, and even though like it's not, I haven't been very enthusiastic about it. I notice it's really good like that. I'm still continuing to do it, even if I don't feel
Excellent,
like
Aaron. Excellent. Push through the dry times. We will all have dry times. The world around us, and even this spiritual, the suit that our spiritual being wears, our action and experience suit, are a manifestation of and are controlled by the gunas, as Krishna very explicitly says in the Gita. There will be dry times. So we just have to push on through. Thank you, Aaron. And thank you for keeping on, keeping on. The fact that you're here this evening is proof that you're keeping on, keeping on. Excellent. Anything else? All right. Let there be peace in outer space. Let there be peace in the sky, on the earth, and in the waters. Let there be peace in the herbs, the plants, and the trees. May the gods be peaceful. May the whole universe be pervaded by peace. Let that infinite universal peace prevail throughout my being. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be unto us and to all beloved beings everywhere. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai. Durga, Durga, Durga. May you be safe. May you be healthy. May you be cheerful. May you have peace of mind. May you go forward in the Divine Mother's, in the Holy Mother's loving and protective embrace. Until the next time we meet, which could be as early as tomorrow evening, for studying chapter 9 of Swami Vivekananda's Jnana Yoga. Sayonara, everyone. Any final thought from anyone?
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Hari Om.
Hari Om, good night.
Good night.